Before we go any further, I want you to try something. If you're sitting down, stand up, slowly. Now notice what just happened. Was there a brief pause? A subtle hesitation before your legs fully responded? Maybe a moment where you had to steady yourself before taking that first step. That tiny delay isn't random, and it's not simply getting older. Did you hesitate for a second? It's not just aging. Research in vascular aging shows that after 70, the time it takes for blood pressure and circulation to adjust when you stand can slow measurably. Your brain sends the signal instantly, but your blood vessels take longer to respond. Oxygen delivery lags behind demand. It feels like weakness, but it's not weakness, it's a delivery problem. And here's the surprising part. Most people are treating the wrong system entirely. When your legs feel weaker after 70, most people blame muscle loss. But muscle isn't the first thing to fail. It's not motivation. It's not effort. And in many cases, it's not even major artery blockage, at least not in the beginning. What begins to decline much earlier is something smaller and more subtle, your endothelium. The endothelium is the thin inner lining of your blood vessels. It controls how well those vessels expand, contract, and deliver oxygen to your muscles. And beneath that lies the microcirculation, the tiny capillaries that actually feed your leg tissue cell by cell. After age 70, nitric oxide production drops significantly. Nitric oxide is the signaling molecule that tells your vessels to relax and widen when blood flow is needed. Without enough of it, vessels stay slightly constricted. Delivery slows. A 2022 vascular aging review found that endothelial function declines by roughly 1 to 2% per year after midlife, accelerating after 65. That may sound small until you realize it compounds year after year. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Here's the part many people never hear. You can eat healthy and still be functionally deficient after 70. The problem isn't always what's on your plate, it's what your body can no longer extract from it. First, stomach acid naturally declines with age. That acid is required to break vitamins like B12 and minerals like magnesium away from food proteins. Less acid means less absorption. Second, intrinsic factor. The compound that allows B12 to enter your bloodstream also decreases over time. Even if you eat meat regularly, you may not be absorbing much of its B12 at all. Then there's the gut microbiome. Diversity drops with age, especially after illness, antibiotics, or years of processed food. And that affects how nutrients are converted and activated. Add medications into the picture. Proton pump inhibitors reduce acid further. Metformin interferes with B12 absorption. Some statins may impact CoQ10 and muscle energy. And appetite often shrinks after 70. Smaller meals usually mean less protein and lower overall nutrient density. This is why standard blood tests miss the real issue. So here's the screening problem nobody talks about. Even when seniors do get tested, another issue pops up. We often measure the wrong things, or honestly, interpret them the wrong way. Take vitamin B12, for example. Most doctors just order a standard serum B12 test. The problem? That test measures total B12, including the inactive forms your body just can't use. You can fall within the normal range and still have a functional deficiency. A more sensitive marker, methylmalonic acid, or MMA, often reveals problems years earlier. Vitamin D has a similar issue. Many labs still define 30 nanograms per milliliter as sufficient, but, vascular and muscle function studies suggest that older adults may actually perform better, closer to 40 to 50 nanograms per milliliter. Normal doesn't always mean optimal. Then there's calcium. Millions of seniors take calcium supplements for bone health, but without vitamin K2 to direct that calcium properly. Without balance, calcium can deposit in arteries instead of bones. This gap between normal and optimal is where subtle decline hides. Now let's talk about the nutrients that actually move the needle. Vitamin C, it's really the structural foundation. If circulation is delivery, then structure is the highway. Vitamin C is what helps build and maintain that highway. Your blood vessels rely on collagen for strength and flexibility. For those collagen fibers to stay resilient, they need proper cross-linking. And that process just can't happen without vitamin C. It's not optional. It's basic biochemistry. When levels are low, capillaries become fragile. Vessel walls lose elasticity. Microtears form more easily, and over time, that reduces efficiency in the tiniest vessels feeding your legs. Here's the catch. Vitamin C is water-soluble, so your body doesn't store it well. A single large morning dose spikes blood levels briefly, but most of it gets filtered out within hours. Dividing the dose, like 200 milligrams 2 or 3 times daily with meals, keeps levels steadier for tissue repair. Food sources matter too. Red bell peppers, kiwi, citrus, and berries provide vitamin C, along with bioflavonoids that help with absorption. Supplements can help, but honestly, whole foods offer supportive compounds that tablets just don't replicate. Still, it's good to keep expectations realistic. Vitamin C strengthens structure, but it doesn't directly force vessels to dilate, and structure alone isn't enough. Vitamin E. This is all about oxidative protection. If vitamin C builds the structure, vitamin E is what protects it. Every day, your endothelial cells face oxidative stress, those unstable molecules generated by metabolism, inflammation, and even just normal breathing. Over time, this oxidative damage stiffens vessel walls and makes them less responsive. Vitamin E acts as a fat-soluble antioxidant inside those vessel membranes. It helps neutralize that damage before it spreads. In aging populations, higher vitamin E status has been linked with better endothelial function and improved microvascular flow. But the form really matters. Many supplements only contain synthetic alpha-tocopherol, but natural vitamin E includes multiple tocopherols and tocotrienols that work together. Mixed forms are closer to what you'd get from foods like almonds, sunflower seeds, and wheat germ. More isn't always better, though. High-dose vitamin E, especially above 800 IU daily, has shown mixed results in studies and may even interfere with other fat-soluble vitamins or blood clotting balance. Moderation matters. Folks who benefit most tend to be those with higher oxidative stress, like smokers, diabetics, or people with metabolic strain. Protection helps, but, circulation still requires dilation. So vitamin K2 is kind of like the calcium traffic director. As we get older, our arteries don't just get narrower, they actually harden. This arterial stiffness happens when calcium slowly builds up inside the vessel walls, which, reduces their ability to expand and recoil with every heartbeat. When our vessels lose that flexibility, pushing blood all the way down to your feet and back up again gets a lot harder. This is where vitamin K2 really steps in and plays a critical role. K2 activates certain proteins that direct calcium into your bones and away from soft tissues like your arteries. Without enough K2, calcium can unfortunately end up in the wrong place. Now here's an important nuance. Vitamin D3 helps your body absorb more calcium from your diet, but if you take D3 without enough K2, you end up with more calcium circulating around, but without the proper guidance. And over time, that kind of imbalance may actually contribute to stiffness rather than strength. Also, form matters. MK7, for instance, stays active in the bloodstream much longer than MK4, which makes it, more practical for steady support. And despite some pretty bold claims you might see online, K2 is not some kind of magic artery cleaner. Studies suggest it may slow the progression of calcification. But it's not going to dramatically reverse decades of buildup. But flexibility? That still requires something else. So vitamin D3 is often labeled as a bone vitamin, but honestly, that's only part of the story. D3 actually functions more like a hormone in the body, influencing over 1,000 genes, including those involved in vascular tone and muscle performance. Blood vessels contain vitamin D receptors, and when these are activated, they support nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide is the molecule that tells vessels to relax and widen when blood flow is needed. Low D3 levels have been consistently linked with increased arterial stiffness and reduced endothelial function in older adults. And in parallel, muscle fibers, especially those fast twitch fibers responsible for quick balance corrections, weaken when D3 is insufficient. That's one reason deficiency correlates with higher fall risk in people over 70. Now about dosing. Some research suggests weekly higher doses can maintain levels effectively due to D3's fat-soluble storage in body tissues, while others favor consistent daily intake to avoid spikes. But really, the most important factor isn't frequency, it's achieving and maintaining an optimal blood level. And while D3 supports the signaling that enables circulation, it doesn't create immediate expansion on its own. Now we're entering the fast-acting territory. Niacin, or vitamin B3, is sometimes called the immediate effect vitamin. It's one of the few nutrients you can actually feel working. Take the immediate release form, and within minutes, many people experience warmth, redness, even tingling in the skin. That flush happens because niacin stimulates prostaglandins, compounds that signal blood vessels to widen. Capillaries open. Blood flow increases. In clinical settings, niacin has been shown to improve lipid profiles and enhance peripheral circulation in certain populations. The effect can be pretty noticeable, but it's important to separate short-term dilation from long-term repair. The flush is temporary. It doesn't fix structural damage by itself. Niacin is not for everyone. People with liver disease, active ulcers, uncontrolled diabetes, or certain heart rhythm conditions should not use high doses without medical supervision. Sustained high intake may elevate liver enzymes, which is why monitoring really matters. There's also a difference between immediate release and extended release forms. Immediate release causes the flush, but clears faster, while extended release reduces flushing, but carries greater liver strain risk at high doses. Niacin can improve vessel opening, but none of this matters if oxygen delivery is impaired. Vitamin B12, this is what I like to call the silent epidemic after 60. Here's where things often get misinterpreted. When legs feel numb, tingly, or unsteady, many folks assume it's purely a circulation problem. But in a large percentage of adults over 60, it's neurological. And vitamin B12 sits right at that intersection. B12 is essential for maintaining the myelin sheath, that protective coating around nerves that allows signals to travel efficiently. When levels drop, nerve communication slows. That can mimic poor blood flow, burning feet, pins and needles, balance issues, even weakness. At the same time, low B12 increases homocysteine, an amino acid associated with endothelial damage and vascular inflammation. So deficiency can affect both nerves and vessels simultaneously. Studies estimate that up to 30 to 40% of older adults have subclinical or functional B12 deficiency, often due to reduced stomach acid or intrinsic factor, and standard blood tests don't always catch it early. Because absorption declines with age, sublingual methylcobalamin can be more reliable than standard oral tablets. It bypasses part of the digestive process. Improvements when deficiency is present may begin within weeks, but nerve recovery can take months. But there's one more piece most vitamin videos ignore. The missing link, magnesium and the nitric oxide pathway. Here's what most vitamin lists leave out. Vessels don't relax just because a vitamin tells them to. They relax because minerals allow them to. And magnesium is central to that process. Magnesium regulates smooth muscle contraction in blood vessel walls. When magnesium is low, which is actually pretty common in older adults, vessels tend to remain slightly constricted. That can feel exactly like poor circulation, cold feet, tight calves, nighttime cramps, heaviness when walking. It also interacts directly with vitamin D. Without adequate magnesium, vitamin D cannot be properly activated or utilized. So someone may supplement D3 faithfully and still see limited benefit if magnesium is insufficient. Then there's nitric oxide, that molecule we mentioned earlier. While vitamins support its signaling, your body also needs dietary precursors to produce it. Nitrate-rich foods like beets, arugula, spinach, and other leafy greens help fuel that pathway naturally. This is why vitamins sometimes don't work. Without mineral balance and nitric oxide support, the system stays incomplete. So what should you actually do? First, test if you can. Ask your healthcare provider about checking vitamin D, B12, and if possible, markers like MMA or homocysteine. Data removes guesswork. Second, resist the urge to change everything at once. Introduce one nutrient at a time. Give it 3 to 4 weeks. Pay attention to warmth in your feet, walking endurance, balance, cramping, and recovery after standing. Slow improvements are still real improvements. Set realistic expectations. Structural nutrients like vitamin C or K2 support long-term resilience. D3 and magnesium may influence muscle function within weeks. B12 if you're deficient, can take months for full neurological recovery. Fast changes are possible, but steady progress is more common. And understand the red flags. If you experience severe calf pain when walking that stops with rest, non-healing foot wounds, sudden color changes, or significant asymmetry between legs, that may signal peripheral artery disease. That requires medical evaluation, not just supplementation. The goal isn't to fight aging, it's to understand it. Your body still adapts. It still repairs, it still responds to the right inputs. Aging changes absorption, it doesn't eliminate adaptability.